Hello. Hello. Welcome, everybody. Hi. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. I just sent out my Mastodon tweet. Today we're doing something really fun. We're going to be looking at using a large language model for assisting in reverse engineering. So there's been a few attempts at doing this in the past, but all of them have been limited by input size and context and things like this. Usually you could only input a small amount of context into a large language model, but I've been working on a tool which uses a technique called embeddings, which allows you to insert all of the knowledge about the program at once into the large language model. So this is really cool because it means the large language model can actually consider an entire program at once, or even a set of programs and the documentation and related documents, instead of just one small function at a time. And this gets you really good results. So, let's take a look. I'll switch over to my desktop view. If you're following on Mastodon, this is me over here on InfoSec Exchange. Let's take a quick look. So, I'll open up the project. At the moment this works for Ghidra, but it will also work for other things as well, and it could actually work for arbitrary documents. But at the moment it's just Ghidra supported. I'll add Binary Ninja support as well as a first-class citizen. Unfortunately I don't own IDO, and it's far too expensive for me, and so I can't add IDO support. But if someone wants to buy me IDO, that would be nice. Hey, maybe I'll put on my throne, but probably not. It's a few $100,000. So let's take a look at the actual program. I'm going to open Ghidra. Let's do that in a window here. And we're going to open a specific program. This is a program from a firmware for a router that we looked at a long time ago on stream. I'm just going to open this up. I need to open this actually with the tool with the extension installed. Here we go. Scripting window, Ghidrathon, and the assistant. And over here on the left we have it loading the large language model. Oh, hi Elise, welcome to the stream. Welcome. We're doing something really fun today. I'm replacing myself with an AI. So here we go. Here's our little assistant. I put a little emoji of a dragon here, so I think that's cute. And we can ask questions about the program, like, what does this program do? Like so. And it outputs a very general response. This is telling us actually about the entirety of the program, not just a small part of it. So let me move this over. So it says this program is a CGI script, which is true, that contacts a remote server, the Genie remote, and runs commands to set an internet connection. It takes in a command line argument to specify the certificate authority bundle path, disables console output, disables the log file, very boring. It also reads the environment variable query string and the NVRAM variable Genie remote URL to contact the remote server. This is basically my job done in like 30 seconds, which is insane. Elise says, hi. Hello Elise, I'm working here because I was preparing, but glad I could be here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I really do. I'm doing a interesting stream today, replacing myself with an AI. I've built a kind of a novel technique, I think, for teaching AI about programs in such a way that I could just ask it generic questions and have it do my job for me. So normally I spent about 4 hours on this program trying to understand what it does. And then in 30 seconds it's just done my job. So maybe I'm a little bit scared. Maybe just a little. But this works for arbitrary things, so I can close this. Let's go open something else. Say some scary malware. Let's look at this. I hope your stream goes well today, Elise. I'll probably tune in once I've finished here. I don't think I'll stream for very long today. But here's a scary malware that does scary things. You press the button, it does its analysis. And it's done. And we can ask it, what does this program do? And it tells you, this program is a daemon process that runs in the background and performs tasks related to a server. It sets up a server, hides the process, triggers tasks related to the server, be repetitive. It also checks if the server is running, it sleeps for seconds, 60 seconds if it is. So this is a pretty accurate description of this thing. It's missing a little bit of context, but maybe we could ask it about the server or something. What is the server? I don't know if we'll be able to answer this, I'm just doing this live, so... the server is a client connection object created within the client connection constructor. It uses the connector. It is used to connect to the remote host and port specified in the desk host and desk port variables. Pretty accurate. What are the tasks? Okay. Where is the server? I don't know exactly what to ask. Maybe let's go ask it about a specific function. Let's ask it. Maybe... let's ask it about... I know there's a few functions in here. Let's ask it about the trigger task function. What is the trigger task function? The trigger task function is a member function of the worker class. It attempts to connect to a master server and then a standby server as specified in the worker options. If the connection is successful, it will execute the code associated with the worker object. So this is something that took me potentially 40 minutes to work out last time, and it can just tell me, which is pretty nice. Let's try something else. I have a binary here from a CTF. What does this program do? Reads an input from the user, converts it to a string or to a long integer, then uses the mprotect function to modify the memory at the address. Prints a message asking the user, asking if it was worth it. This is surprisingly, I'll say, true. So that's a little bit of a preview of what I've been working on over the last maybe 2 days. So, pretty interesting stuff. Let's take a look at the actual program itself. So I'm planning to just spend the stream cleaning this up, getting this a little bit easier to run, and making it a little bit easier to install. So the actual program itself is fairly simple, at least on the surface. Its job is to acquire a local large language model to operate against, then extract all the information from the tooling, in this case Ghidra, and then it generates what's called an embedding, which is kind of a thing you can overlay over the top of a neural network to give it access to more data and make it hyper-focused on that data. And so we generate a fairly simple embedding in this case. We just decompile each of the functions, give it an address and the function name. So fairly simple, fairly simple. We cache the embedding on disk, and we send that up to either OpenAI or to your large language model of choice. We can use anything supported by LangChain, which is the thing that it uses under the hood. And we simply relay questions back and forth between the Java component and the Python component. So, pretty simple, but super powerful. Super powerful. So I'm just going to run this in the background. I'll bring it back up. And there you go. Easy. Very easy. So I think today we're going to be cleaning up the documentation and then fixing up a little bit of this user interface to make it a little bit easier to use. So at the moment it launches as soon as Ghidra starts. And that can be a bit of a problem because you may not have analyzed the entire binary. So I want to add the ability to regenerate the index at will, and add an auto-analysis phase, which will happen at the end of the analysis step. So let's give this a go. Bit of a diff here. It's a bug in there. What's this? Yeah, just wait while COC gets set up. I think I need to toggle something here. It's really annoying. I need to toggle the Java plugin. Okay, seems to be working. Just get set up, so I have a node tree on the left. Yeah. And we'll get situated. So we should probably check on a few of our dependencies as we go through this. So if I go to GitHub here, we do depend on Ghidrathon by Mandiant. There was an issue here with inheritance, which I responded to yesterday, or the day before, I can't remember. But behavior with class inheritance and extending classes. It says 4 days ago. Okay, Mike responded. It's not something currently possible. This is a little disappointing, but that's okay. Yeah, it looks like this might be tackled, but unlikely. We may have to... Maybe we'll have to do some work there later. But for the moment, this is our plugin. It's gone through a lot of changes, so there's a lot of craft here, and there's a lot of white space. I really need to fix my editor so it's no longer tabbed. But anyway, we have a few different components. So this is basically the Java side, which handles this little widget, the interpreter down here, where you can type your question, and then it sends it through to the Python side, and the Python side talks to the AI and then communicates back and forth with it, and then relays that back to Java, which then displays it in the user interface. So it's a little more complicated than I would have liked. I would have liked to have been able to do this all in Python, but unfortunately, you can't create UI elements easily, and there's a few other issues with this. I could do this with something like the Ghidra bridge, which I probably will do in the future, just in case you don't want to use the Ghidrathon extension for whatever reason. I don't like that being a hard requirement. So anyway, it's fairly simple. We hold a reference to the console, we hold a reference to the Python thread, we start the Python script up in the background, and then we provide a interface which allows the Python side to talk to the Java side. You can get the console, it can read a string from the console, and it can write a string to the console. And then this handles most of the UI, and Python handles all of the data components. So in terms of new things that we need to add, I think what I'd like to do is add some way for you to refresh the embedding, because once you've done your auto analysis, it doesn't quite work as well. If you've changed something, you need to refresh, you need to do a full quit, which is not ideal. So I think what we'll do is we'll add a new interface element, which will basically set a flag that the Python can see. Unfortunately, we can't do this in real time because of threading issues, but let's try. So this will return, say, a boolean. This will be the update embeddings, or it should update embeddings, like so. Add a doc string for this. Plugin should update the embeddings. We basically want a flag that would be clear. It's a real problem that we can't communicate backwards and forwards very easily between these two components using objects. I think a boolean should do. So the plugin over here, we ask it a question, it says a thing, we click maybe a little refresh button. That will set this flag. Then the plugin will update the embeddings. And maybe we have public embeddings updated. Which clears the flag. I think that makes some sort of sense. I think that makes some sort of sense. Let's do that. Once the embeddings are updated, okay. Just like that, I guess. This should cause our plugin to complain. It's just no longer implementing the interface, which does. We'll add a private root. Just like so. And we should be able to synthesize the other two. Should update embeddings. And then the other one, override. Embeddings updated. Thank you. Just like so. This makes sense. And then we can add an input widget to our little thing here so we can update those embeddings. Let's ask it a few more questions to see how smart it is. What does the main function do? So it's aware of a few different things. It's aware of the decompilation of each of the methods. It's aware of the addresses at which those methods reside. And it's also aware of the method signature. And the way that I've set up the embeddings, it pays special attention to the addresses, so it shouldn't hallucinate things too much. Calls the function there and then returns. So can we go there? See, I think I need to close this tool. I opened it in the wrong one, and we need to open it in the one with the full code browser. Welcome, Dendroform. Hello. How are you today, Dendroform? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. You can see here it's libc start main that's picked up on. If we open a larger program, let's try reopening this one. You can try that. Dendroform says, for the prompt, try asking the LLM to assume a persona. We can definitely try that. Give me a second to load this up. Okay, it's loading up. At the moment we're using OpenAI just because it's very easy to get started with. But I have also implemented some local implementations, so I can talk to a Llama 2 instance that I have running on a machine here with a 4090. So let's try. As a reverse engineer, explain what this program does. Let's see what that gives us. So it seems it's impossible to know what this function does without prior knowledge. It seems a little worse when I give it that prompt. So it picks up on start main, but it's asking about a specific method. So if I try what does this program do, it's able to use the embeddings and it can synthesize a much better response here. So it gives a more general response about the entirety of the program here. So this is crossing a few function boundaries. So it says that it runs in the background, sets up a server, hides the process, triggers tasks. These are in different classes in this particular sample. But if I ask it maybe as a reverse engineer, explain the purpose of the trigger task. Let's see what it thinks of this. This is pretty good. The purpose of the trigger task function is to establish a connection to a server specified in the options configuration. It attempts to connect to the main server first, then the secondary server if the main server fails. The connection is established, the function will then execute the code at the address specified by the worker object's 8th byte. So that's particularly interesting because it's parsing the virtual address table, the vtable, and it's extracting the function pointer and I guess interpreting the inheritance of that class. So the worker is a subclass. Let's ask it that too. As an angry bus driver, describe the trigger task function. I think my specialization, so because I'm doing the embedding, I think it's very heavily weighted towards this. The embedding makes a very big difference. It tends not to hallucinate things as much. Like, for example, what is the address of trigger task? So we get an address here. I should be able to go to that address. And you can see it didn't hallucinate that address, which is really nice. I can also do this backwards. So because I've given it specific awareness and made it particularly focus on the addresses and the names, this is where it gets a lot of this from. It does become hyperfixated on a few things, so it will complain, it will misinterpret a few things within Ghidra, like if the calling convention isn't set, it will think that's actually a bug and report that as a security vulnerability, which would be technically true if it was actually not just Ghidra misinterpreting. But anyway, there's a few variables here that aren't set. Maybe we can ask it to rename the variables. Let's be polite. Can you rename these variables in the trigger task method? Yes. Technically true. It's a little bit sassy. That's a little sassy. I could rename them if I wanted to. How about this? Rename the variables in the trigger task method. Okay, it's done okay. This local to worker. That's interesting because it's picked up the type information, I guess, here. This is actually an interesting rename, this local to worker. This one here. It must be reused. Did connect to secondary. Let's look at Beezar1. Did connect secondary server. Beezar1, I'll middle click that to highlight its usage. Starts as false. Set to true here. If we did connect to the standby server. So that makes sense. That did a good job, actually. Let's try as a JSON log. So a few things I'm thinking about doing with this, with the DPUI integration, is actually having like a magic wand you can click that will basically do this prompt and then rename stuff. Rename the variables. So it's done that poorly. Rename the variables. Because that's my state, that's the JSON blob. To more descriptive names. That's a cool idea. Click Standerful. Those are a little bit better. But then I missed the JSON blob. Still needs a little bit of work. Let's try the create code for a flowchart in the graph with language for the trigger task method. So it generated something. I don't know if I have it installed. Graphs is online, okay. Let's try. Start. Connect to the main server. Did connect. No. Connect to the secondary server. Did connect. No. Connect to the standby server. Did connect. No. Connect to the standby server host. No. It's just not bad. It's not bad, but I think it's a little off. Let's compare it to Ghidra's graph. Let's go graph. Can I just graph this one function? Code flow. This is a disgusting looking graph, but it's okay. Preamble. Full method. Yeah, this is definitely not as nice as that one that it generated, but let's look at the actual code. Say if it did connect. So do note it only has knowledge at the moment of the decompilation. So it's very heavily reliant on this. So if decompilation fails, it will also fail. It's very easy to add the listing view, and I think we'll get better results if it can see both. To connect, there is a jump here, or a label I should say. Yes, each of these deconstructors is nice that it omitted most of these. Not did connect. I think it's largely accurate. So in my experience so far playing with this over the last few days, it's very good at higher level things. Once you start asking it very specific things, it seems hard to get the prompt correct. But it does a pretty good job. Let's ask it, maybe we can ask it about the entire code flow. The program code flow. It seems awesome. Maybe I need to... That's terrible. Okay. Let's try that. Generate a class diagram in the mermaid language to explain this program. So it's generated something here in the slope. It's not bad. Mermaid Online. I've never used the mermaid language before. I've used Dot plenty of times, but never the mermaid language. Yeah. Okay. No. Kind of like my email. I got something incorrect in here. It looks like it was cut off as well. I'm very cheap, so I'm just using the cheapest possible OpenAI plan. Worker options. Yeah, it does. We can try UML. Apply UML. Let's do the same thing. Client UML. That's very small. It's very, very small. Class diagram in client UML. So it's getting stuck on a few different things here. Maybe list the classes implemented in this program as bullets for dot points. Let's try this. So it's still a little confused. I think we don't have enough information in the embedding around classes yet. So if we take a look at the actual scripts, let's open this one. I apologize for this script, it's still very messy as this is quite experimental. I'll clean it up before I put this up on GitHub. Where are we? So the only metadata we have is the address and the function. And this was the most difficult part about this was getting the Ghidra to Java sync working. That's the Java to Python sync. It's surprisingly difficult. So let's take a look. So we have the address, we have the function, let's add a few to-dos here. Add listing view. Add cross references. This will make it a lot more knowledgeable. Add whilst for the namespace information more generally, namespace. So Peter knows about the namespaces already and the classes. I think actually a very important one will be the external stuff. We should probably ignore external implementations. External funcs. And add external flag. I think this will help a lot. So some other really interesting things I found with this is you can ask it things about like standard functions, which is really nice. Get a request here. What does this use? It uses a standard JSON library, which we might be able to ask about. See, we have an encryption method. Let's ask about the encryption method. What cipher does this program use? Is it the simple cipher? What algorithm is implemented in a simple cipher? Doesn't know. This is probably because it actually has two implementations. So this is an XOR cipher that is implemented. Interesting. I wonder if we go into the actual cipher itself and ask it about a specific address. So it's MD5 cipher various constructors and things to code, simple ciphering code. Let's ask about this. So this is really simple, as it explains. This is a just an XOR thing. What cipher is used by simple cipher encode? Using a simple XOR cipher, that makes sense. Where is the key used by simple cipher encode? Global variable, simple password. And that kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. It's not exactly the key. This is actually the key is, I think, actually just the offset that's passed in, really. But it's still close. It's still close. This is not too bad, I think. Too bad. I think with a little more context and a little more help from Ghidra, this will really, really shine. I'd like to add a few functions like right-clicking and asking about a thing. So that's really nice. You can actually, in other programs, like you could ask it, what does malloc do? This could be a nice pre-canned query that just describes a method under your cursor, for example, and it will work for anything. Okay, let's start with adding the external flag, I think. So we want to know if a given symbol is an external symbol. So I'm going to quickly open the Ghidra API help. Here's external. I should just train it on this, actually. Symbol is external. So we'll just get the symbol at that address. So iterating of all functions. Self the program get symbol table. We will go back to the browser for a second. That's in the Flat Program API, actually. We can probably just use it. Self.api is external symbol. Yep, do that wrong. The click isn't working. Oh, it's so annoying. Okay. I think from a function we can get the symbol. So in here I'll just look for the function. That's just in there. Here's external. So we have a function, it's in the model. Just be able to ask if it's external straight away. That makes more sense. given the function we have to cast these to strings for the embedding to work. So for embeddings, it needs to be the same it needs to be tokenizable by the same tokenizer that was used to train the model. And so in our case, these are strings. So we'll tell it if it's an external method. And let's also get the namespace. I'm just going to search for this, and I'll use the ghidra.re documentation, just so I can use the search properly. Namespace. Get the inherent namespace. It returns the inherent scope. And the namespace itself will have a name. If it's not known. So let's do something like we do document.metadata. Okay, let's try this. Add the namespace to the metadata if one is present. So this will be that. If that's set, just like it. Okay, so we'll add the namespace and the metadata if one is present. Okay. Let's do external namespace. And I think cross references. So if we can go to the function object here and look at the get calling functions and calling functions. Let's try that. Get call functions. Well, welcome Cyberdex. Thanks for joining. I'm glad you saw the post. I can show you what we're working on at the moment. I'll give a quick overview. So what I've done is I've created a Ghidra extension that uses embeddings. So you can basically rerun a tokenization over the top of your Ghidra database. It extracts certain information, generates like an overlay, which then gets overlaid on top of a neural network. And that allows the neural network to reason about your particular program. And the benefit of doing this is that you don't use up the context from your prompt. So other existing tools will like grab the decompilation, feed it in your prompt, and then add your question to the end. Whereas this kind of adds it to the model's long-term memory, if you will. So it allows the model to reason about the entire program. So for example, I could just ask, what does this program do? Give it a second. And then it gives us an answer. This program is a daemon process that runs in the background and performs tasks related to a server. It sets up a server, hides the process, and triggers tasks related to the server. It also checks if the server is running and sleeps for 60 seconds if it is. So this is a real malware sample that I reverse engineered on a previous stream. This is a hidden WASP for Linux. And so this is not just a toy example. And you can see it's actually reasoning about things and linking things from different functions. So it's able to see the backgrounding is actually performed in the main function. The server is in a different class altogether. Hiding is in a different function. Triggering tasks is in a dispatch list. Yeah, really cool, hey. So I'm using a few. This is at the moment just using GPT 3.5. I'm a bit cheap, so I'm just using the cheapest OpenAI one at the moment, but this also works offline. So I'll be open sourcing this pretty soon. Let me bring up the README. I'll just write this file really quick. Here's the README. So you can use it with a local language model if you like, because I understand that reverse engineering is often sensitive work. And so I've tested it with two Llama 7 billion parameters. This is running on a machine I have here on a 3090 or a 4090, I think is in that machine. And I'm using the text generation web UI for that. And so you can, at the moment it's hard-coded at the top, but you can point it at another machine to do the inference, or you can use any model from Hugging Face. Like this one, I picked on Camel 5 billion, I don't know if that's any good. But it can also run on a laptop. The inference isn't as good, obviously, if you're using a low-powered model, but it's okay. It's not bad. I still need to tweak it a little bit to get it working properly on my laptop. And I think my text gen is currently a little bit broken. I was playing around with some of the models and weights and I broke it. But at the moment I'm just using OpenAI and it works fine. It should work fine if you use one of these. I think the 13 billion model, I think will probably be the optimal one that I'll try to run locally. So that I can run on a MacBook just fine. So I'm using an M1 MacBook Pro. And I've had that model work fine on my local machine. And it has the PyTorch implementation, can use the Apple Silicon Neural Engine stuff. So it actually is very nice performance. Actually, I think it's actually generally really useful. I think you can reverse engineer a lot of a program this way, just asking questions. So I think the end goal is to have this as a full auto analysis step. So as soon as you open a program, it'll be one of the final analysis steps. So you can just click AI in here or something. And then it will basically run over every method, rename as many variables as it can, and then give you a summary of the program. And I think I'll basically have a questionnaire, I guess, for the program. So what does the program do? What are the main classes, etc. And so this will give you a summary of the program for you to get started. Some other things I want to add is right-click support. So you can just right-click on something, and I can just do that. For example, right-click on a method, and then go something like, what does this do? Well, what is it? And it will tell you. So that will work for other things as well. Since it's just a specialized version of a generic large language model, you can say, what does calloc do? And then give it a second, calloc allocates an array. So that makes sense, but equally I could ask it, what does simple cipher encode do? And then simple cipher encode takes in a pointer to a simple cipher object, a pointer to an array of unsigned characters and an unsigned integer size, then iterates through the array of unsigned characters, XORing each element, the value from the simple password array. The password also is then incremented by 1, and the loop continues until the size is reached. So this is, I think, an excellent answer to that question. And it's able to take into account a few other things. So this is one specific function, but we could ask it about the class or equally other information about the program as a whole. With this method too, I can incorporate arbitrary data up to a very large size, so I can include data about the rest of the project. For example, if I have any notes, I could incorporate those. I could incorporate books, so any EPUB, I reckon I could just extract the text from an EPUB. Then, for example, maybe I could have it trained on textbooks that I have, and then specialize this thing to be a real good reverse engineer. It can generate JSON and it can generate Python code as well. So potentially it could actually take action. So I could have it go through and modify the database itself using something like the action model. I think it's called the action model. It has like a discussion with itself and then decides what actions to take, and then you can give it the ability to evaluate Python code. So very fun. Thank you so much for being interested, Cyberdex. I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's an interesting piece of technology. I'd really like to see this taken quite far. I'd like to have this work on Binary Ninja as well. So I do have a Binary Ninja license, so I'll write the same. The backend's fairly generic, so I'll write the same thing for both Binary Ninja and Ghidra. So, it's very fun. Cyberdex says, that's fine, I like AI tech, so it's good to see new softs. Yeah, thank you, I am really interested in it as well. I think that previous work on this in reverse engineering has been... I think the overlap between reverse engineers and AI people is relatively low, and I think that the previous attempts have been fairly naive, which is fine, this is still emerging technology. So I think this will make a big difference using the embeddings. That's fairly quick to generate as well. On a large program it can take a few minutes, but if it gives you answers of this quality, I'm pretty happy with it. One day I'll be completely out of a job. That's the goal. I can sit on the beach and sip on Mai Tais and enjoy my time off. That's the plan. Let the robots do all of the work. So, if you're interested in content like this, I do a fair few different AI streams. I do a lot of reverse engineering things, so you can drop a follow if you like, either here or on Mastodon. I usually stream weekly on various different topics, so yeah. If you're interested in the content, I'd appreciate it. But don't feel pressured, that's okay. So when we're doing the embeddings here, I'm using a library called Llama Index. We've just basically implemented a document generator, which extracts content out of the decompiler and adds this metadata. And the more metadata, the metadata is what it really focuses on, so it tends not to hallucinate new addresses. I haven't seen it do it once actually. So I think it really focuses on this. So I think I'd like to add the cross-references as well. So I think what I'll do, I'm not sure if it'll behave better if I leave out the cross-references when it's not there. So this is doing pretty well. No, this won't work. This won't work. Cyberdex says, sure, I'm gonna watch out for more streams. I followed the VTuber hashtag on Fediverse, so I see a lot of posts that come out there. There's a lot of interesting content on the Fediverse from VTubers these days. I'm also a member on VT.social, but I started on the Fediverse before that was a thing, so... No, my main account is on InfoSec Exchange. It's a lovely community there. So I think this won't work. I think it has to be a string. That is my suspicion. And if this is address, I think this will work better if it knows its address. And if we specify reference type, like so. Okay, and then have the cross references. I think this will work better. Let's try that. So we'll generate a embedding now. So what I'm going to do, I really need to add the button so that this can do it. But we'll just rm the directory. I put in config, not cache. quit Ghidra. And we'll restart Ghidra. So you'll get to see it generate the embeddings. So it does cache them at the moment. But basically what happens is, at the moment, as soon as you open the interpreter like this, it'll start doing the generation. This involves decompiling every function in the binary. This can take a little bit of time. And then it can... Effective chunk size non-positive. This is a bug that I ran into. This is actually the type. So we can't have a dictionary or anything other than a string in here. Cyberdex says, so this decompiles a binary, not working from source code. Yeah, correct. This decompiles the binary. It runs through a bunch of the Ghidra analysis first, and then it interprets those results. So my idea is to have it run the basic analysis phase, do the AI embedding, then run another analysis phase based on that. So it'll go and update as many things as it can, and then that will be the final result presented to the user. See, I think this part is where it got confused. So we could... Yeah, this is actually a malware. So the malware is... Hidden Wasp. Intesa did a teardown of this malware. So this is the malware that we're currently looking at. So it's nothing simple. It does have symbols, and it does have some of my analysis included. So I've renamed a few things, but it's not a trivial example. This is the sort of thing that, you know, a reverse engineer would look at in their day job, so I'm sure the Intesa team would have enjoyed having a tool like this. So we can either string this and have it embedded as a... I think that's going to have to be one of the ways that we do it. So we could just string this and have it as like a JSON log, essentially, in there. Yeah, this malware is pretty scary. It's not the most sophisticated thing, but it's pretty sophisticated. And we reverse engineered it in a previous stream and built a controller for it. So we basically took over the malware. Not all of the malware in the wild, but we took over this particular one and were able to command and control it and make it do different things. So just showed how to reverse engineer a thing to that sort of degree. Okay, so we're adding the string for the namespace here. Do we want to... We could really just JSON dumps this, essentially. But I wonder if the quality will suffer there. Or if we should just do something like... Instead of this... Maybe we append it. Not sure. Let's try this. JSON dumps. It's gonna try this. No, I deleted that, didn't I? I get to see the long rebuild process. So we do Gradle here. This repacks the extension along with the updated Python scripts. We close this. Close this. We delete the cache. Turn up the cache. We delete the config Pinterest system. I'm actually surprised that tried to pick it up. Anyway. We'll just reload. Okay, install extension. I really should fix this. We can do this better by just copying the extension directly into the installation. Now install extension. Add. Development. Hydra assistance. Distribution. This one. Okay. Let's try. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'll open the tab. That'll start the building. This looks better, I think. Created 1,105 documents. We're still not happy. Effective chunk size and non-positive after considering metadata. Cross-reference list being done to JSON, set here. Strings namespace. Okay. Let's just print the metadata documents. I wonder if the separator is in there actually. That might also break it. So this is essentially turned into, like with all of these things, it's essentially just turned into a formatted string. So it's likely that we're using the same separator here for the metadata. I wonder if that's breaking something. I'll tell you what, I'll just remove the cross-references for now. We'll still print that, and we'll just add in the namespace and see if this works. Read all. Close. Close. We'll launch Ghidra again. Uninstall the old extension, reinstall the new one. Do the dance. This will just take a second. Don't miss that one. What's here? How is this being sorted before? But I've unticked that and add this. Okay, install the new extension. Add development of the assistants. Distribution. A new version. Okay. Okay. Close. To build. It's a lot easier to iterate if you use the official Ghidra development kit, but that's based in Eclipse. And it's annoying for me to use, so... Now working. Now Dendriform says you can add that folder to your bookmarks so you go directly to it. That's a great idea. I think what I'll do is I'll just add like a make or something that will just rebuild the extension directly into Ghidra. So you can just place these in your Ghidra installation / extensions should be where it goes. So Ghidra install directory extensions, I think goes in here. I think you can go into either. This looks happy. This is taking a little while. Creating the embeddings. So now each of our things will look like this for the metadata. So we did have the namespace there. So Okay, this is a bit strange. It's in the namespace external, but is external is false. This is a Ghidra class. Not sure this is exactly what I wanted to have for the namespace. And all of these being false. Okay. Just a namespace. Do you have any specific option to get just the name or something like that? I wonder. It's a function. Functions have name space in it. Getting the parent namespace. Big address. Interesting. The name of the symbol for this scope. Maybe we should check this instead. Is external from the namespace. Document metadata is external. So namespace is external. Let's try this. Let's also try doing something like
Thanks for the prime, Justin Steven.
And welcome, Justin Steven. Welcome. Glad to see you. Haven't seen you in a little while. Thanks for the prime sub. Really appreciate it. That goes a long way. And it lets you skip the ads as well, which you'd probably be watching right now. Okay. Let's go to Ghidra install directory. Extensions. I think it's Ghidra extensions. This is where I feel like it needs to go. Nothing in here. I did my ad time. No worries. Okay. Let's see. It's a great prime sub is ready to go. Reminder, it's true. The amount of times I use that because of ads. Okay, so we'll link in this extension, I think so, down. Ghidra assistance. Just one of these is today. Today is the 7th. I think we'll just do this. Close this tool. So I'm not sure how long you've been watching for there, Justin. I'm not sure. But we're building a pretty fun little tool today. Yeah, let's just try and run in Ghidra. Now, is it already there? No, it mustn't be that directory. It must be somewhere else. Dev. Assistant. Can I like save it this or something? No. Whatever. I'll just keep clicking the buttons. So what we have is a large language model with an embedding, which is basically we've created like a long-term memory, I guess you would say, from our program and then embedded that on top of the large language model. So we're altering weights, things like that, I believe. This allows us to ask questions about the entirety of a program without sacrificing any of the input prompt lengths. So for example, I can hit Ghidra Assistant here. This will load up the large language model. It'll decompile every function, get a few bits of metadata out, and then we'll construct an embedding. So I do believe this will be wrong actually. I need to do an RM. Close, restart. I want to regenerate the embeddings because I just changed the format. I really should add a version string in there or something, but we will get there. We will get there. Okay, Ghidra Assistant launches, we load the LLM, we decompile and set all the metadata here. Hopefully some of these externals will be true. There we go. So now the model will be aware of things that are not included in our program. Created 1,105 documents, so this is not a trivial example. And we're going to generate the embeddings. So we compute this on our local machine. We're retokenizing here, and then we will basically add these on top of the large language model. So OpenAI has an API, that's really hard to say, where we can load those up on top of the GPT 3.5 Turbo instance, and we can infer based on that. But I've also implemented a lot of local version. So you can either have a remotely hosted local version you can talk to. So I use the text generation UI project. Text generation web UI. This one here. So we should be able to query any model that's supported by this as well. If you want to locally host like a big inference server with lots of GPU compute or something, or we can use a local model on your local machine. So I'm still thinking, this looks like it's working. Hopefully it doesn't think for too long. While it's thinking, if anyone has questions or suggestions, I'd love to hear them. I'm still very much playing around with this, so if you have feature requests or anything like that, I'd like to hear them as well. My plan is to put this up on GitHub as well. I think it could be a pretty valuable thing for reverse engineers, especially because it can really speed up the initial summary. Like if you're triaging a lot of samples, like you work in maybe some sort of like a SOC or security center or something like that, when you're triaging lots of samples, this could be very useful. Especially because in theory it should be able to run from the headless mode in Ghidra, and once I implement Binja, Binary Ninja will be very efficient at this. There we go. Okay, it's done. So we get the little tap, tap, tap. Can I help you? And we ask, what does this program do? To get an overview. This program is a daemon that runs in the background and performs tasks. This is different to last time. So that's good. It seems like it's interpreted a bit more of the dollar. This program is a daemon that runs in the background and performs tasks related to system security. Just an environment variable checks for a specific file and then sleeps for 3 seconds. It also checks for a specific port and runs a single instance of a process, and then initializes a hiding process, makes the process root and hides the process, then runs a worker task and triggers it, then sleeps for 60 seconds. Finally, it cleans up the options and exits. That's a very good summary of the main part of the program. Let's ask it about the simple cipher. What can you tell me about simple cipher? Simple cipher is a class that inherits from the base cipher class. It has a virtual function pointer to the encode function and a password offset field. Tell me about simple cipher code. Simple cipher encode is a function that takes in a simple cipher object pointed to an array of unsigned characters and an unsigned integer as parameters. The function iterates through the array of unsigned characters and XORs each element with a character from the simple password array. Password offset is then incremented by 1 and the loop continues until the array size of the array is reached. That sounds legitimate. Let's try it. Let's see if the namespace thing works. Can we generate a class diagram in plant UML format for simple cipher? Thank you for the prompt there, Dendroform. Let's try. Yes, you could. It's telling us to do it. How about we say generate? I think I naturally want to be polite to this thing, especially because it's taking my job. This was mermaid. Does this is there one for plant UML? I assume so. Plant UML online. Is there an online interpreter for plant UML? Maybe I'll try the mermaid one instead. It does seem pretty close though. Oh, thank you. Okay. It's interesting that it includes the virtual pointer in there, and it doesn't include the encode function. So let's try again in plant UML and see if that's any different. And let's try and related classes. Still a little bit weird, I think. I guess that makes sense. Let's ask him for something more complex. Maybe the worker. Could you ask it to write Yara rings? That's a good question, I haven't tried that yet. So it has a knowledge of a lot of the program, and it's able to... Well, this one's a bit better. Let's ask it about Yara rings. I'll paste this in, we'll try this one. It's certainly able to write Python. This is interesting. Options, child ID, this makes sense. The write and read ciphers, yes. This is actually quite good. The V pointer is a little weird. It does include that, but main options. That's a bit weird. The client connection though is legitimate. Must be about param, I don't think that's correct. Right, a jar of renew. So actually, this may not work because it's not aware of the listing view yet. It's only aware of the decompilation. I'm about to add the listing view. Once I add the listing view, that should work very well. The same as the strings. It's not aware of strings just yet for this program. Write a YAR rule to identify this program. Maybe that's a good prompt, I'm not sure. that's not bad. That's not too bad. I would signature this. That's got a 1 in it, which is exactly what this binary does. So that's interesting because it's not aware of the name of the binary, but it is aware of the function that backdoors the loader. And string 1 is 13 lib se linux.so with the 1. I think that would work. I think that would really work. I don't have a large corpus of other things here. I should have Yara. And explain your reason. That's a good question. Thanks, Justin. Okay. Let's change the rule. This rule will match any program that contains the strings sbin if local sbin Linux. This is because the context information provided indicates that the program contains functions that open and read for the file sbin if local and its contents. Yes, therefore any program that contains these strings is likely to be the same program and not one described as the one described in the context information. That is pretty cool. I think it can do better if we include all of the other strings. I think that might be a good one to add right now, actually. Let's try that. So we're going to create a document for each function. Let's do the same for strings. I think I'll do that first. For defined, let's do this. Program and generate page. Iterates over defined strings in the program and generates the documents for each. Get all the strings. That is not what we want to do. So we'll just get these strings. I think these are string objects from getStrings, not the actual strings themselves. So we'll have to request the value. Get strings. You study. Pick out listing. Thank you, Dendrophone. Congratulations on altering the space-time continuum. I really appreciate your input. You were very useful today, and I hope that you follow the project. Once I release it, I will post a link to Mastodon once I drop it on GitHub, and I hope it's useful to you. We'll get defined strings is actually what it is. Go back to the flat program API. If you haven't programmed Engager before, this is the starting point. You should always start at the flat program API. Strings. Find strings, not what I want. I get strings. There's the listing view. On a listing program. I think it's in here, but it might be. It's in the data type manager. Data. Do we have to iterate to every little listing? It could just be a defined data iterator. I thought there would be a helper. It's been a little while since I've done this. Get strings in and Ghidra API. Ledgebot says you want the already discovered strings. Yes, those are what I'm after. I'm not after the find strings method. Defined string iterator. Thank you. That sounds good. Defined string. Thank you. The defined dollar iterator. This is what I was looking for. Thank you. Defined dollar iterator. Defined strings. Looks good. And thank you. Just split this view. I'll go to the top. I need to import it. It needs to go down to the pub where we import Ghidra. This is a total mess at the top. Here. From Ghidra. Whoops. This is defined data iterator. Define data iterator. Thank you. Defined data iterator. Dot. Defined strings. From self dot program. Okay, that should get us each of these. Now we'll I think we'll we'll give it we need the document thing, the text, and then the metadata. The name of this string. After we should call it the name of the symbol. So what do we get back from this? Define data iterator. The define data iterator is this. Of course. I want the next that returns a data object. Data object should have a name. So I think we want the thing most likely to appear in the decompilation to be the thing that we actually call this. We get label. So be data string get label. I think we want that. The thing here will be the value. I think we can just ask for the value. In metadata here, we'll set the address. No string, does that have an address? It should. Yes, it does. Has an address. And we'll just toString that in the same way we do elsewhere. And I think that's probably about what we would like here. So what is this complaining about? From the name metadata or name, I think that's lies. We'll do print document. and we'll do documents. Double append document, okay. I think that will work. And then this should make it aware of strings, and that should make it a lot easier to create a oh, but I think VTube Studio is breaking. 1 second. Hello? There we go. Okay. So, this should do it. This should do it. We might want to add more metadata later, but I think that'll do. Let's run Gradle. Let's get this installed. Okay, we disable the extension. Close. Let me run Ghidra. Install the extension. Okay. And we need to RM the existing embeddings. We run the scripts, and we should be good. That went by very quickly, so I hope it worked. 3,500 documents, that sounds much more reasonable. Hopefully this doesn't take too long, but this should give it the ability to create strings and things like that. Now I think about it, it probably needs to know that it's a string. To find a string. Type function. Okay, let's just see how it goes without those type hints. Thinking. Yeah, thanks to your help there, Lurchbelt. That was really good. I've been digging through the API for a while before I searched for defined string in the defined string iterator. I think I'll actually go through all of the data that's defined and define the types and everything. Because the more information we get into this thing, the smarter it becomes. I think there might be a tip-off point where it gets stupider, or it's too much data and it starts synthesizing things incorrectly. But I think the more data we add, the better this gets. Okay, while this is running, I am going to go get a drink, I think. Just as Steven says, the more data it has, the more it starts synthesizing things stupidly. Same, to be honest. Yeah. I like this thing because it is offloading a lot of the hard part of the reverse engineering, which is synthesizing all of the data, remembering all the different pieces and what's part of this project and not the project you had to work on 5 seconds ago, because it's the most important thing in the world. I'm sure every reverse engineer who works on malware feels the same thing, but it feels like everything is the most important thing in the world at the time, and so context switching is a real problem. But with this thing, context switching is literally embedded into its brain, so see. Anyway, I'm going to go get a quick drink while this runs, and I will return. Hello? And I'm back. I hope you all got some water too. Okay, stop thinking. I'm thinking for a long time. There we go. Okay. Let's finish thinking. Let's see if we can answer some questions about strings. Are there suspicious strings in this program? Says no. That's interesting. I think it's a little confused because we didn't have that type information. You're able to identify this program and explain your reasoning. Okay, this is objectively worse. Got comments? I think it's a little confused about what I provided it at the moment, so I think I need this type. the name is the get label. Let's rebuild and try again with these types. Address type, okay. Because it definitely got dumber. Delete that. We run Ghidra. Install the extension again. Developer. Assistance. Type okay. Here we go. It's thinking decompiling. Okay, we've got the type in there now. Okay, 3,500 documents. So let's start syncing. Wait for the embeddings to compile again. While that's happening, if anyone has suggestions for things that it should output when it starts, I'd like to hear them. So at the moment, I just did this like quickly. But we should have a list of things. Introduction strings. And what can I do for you? And yeah, that's the limit of artificial intelligence. How many strings can it generate? Maybe have a coffee. Rooted localhost. Flash. It's always a fun one. Maybe I will take this from here. I always liked this root at local toast. Still thinking, pondering. Put an emoji in here. I think it should. Yeah, it does render emoji. Concerned lib. Magic. Is there a wizard? Maybe a wizard in there? Justin Stevens says, whenever I'm adding a quick command, I do a random choice from the quick messages from Dude. Now those sound good. Let's take a look. called Demons to Toast. DOS is much worse. This is good. I like that. I like this one. Maybe we can do a variant on this. Some bread? No. Halloween? Bread emoji. You know what? I like that. Thank you, all day complete. Yeah, still calculating. This is taking a little while. So for any exception? Not yet. Still thinking. I think it's rather toast related. Reversing. Like a truck, maybe? Okay, it's done. Let's see. What does this program do? See if it's still as good at reasoning about the generic. There is a function decompilation of the main function program. This is not good. Okay. Justin Stevens says reversing the forwards engineering. I like that one too. And rewriting is necessary. Generate a YARN relay to identify this program. Yeah. I think this is worse. I think it is considering too many things that are too short, perhaps. Maybe instead of 1,000,000 documents containing each individual string, we instead give her one giant document with one string. It might be better at generating the YARN, which was the goal. Let's see. Certainly thinking. Excuse me. Donating the malware. I like that too. And let's put a dragon in there too. So it's given up. I think it's given up. Oh no. You know what? That might identify the malware. I have a feeling that that's way too many wild cards. So you gotta identify MD5. Machine whispering is certainly an odd profession. It's very dependent on what you give it. So I think let's take out this. Ghidra strong, I like that. Strong dragon. Okay, let's try this. Instead of all of the data strings, let's make a one mega string. Mega string. It's this. And we'll basically do the mega string mega string list and your format string, and this will be the data string dot get address. Label and string literal around that, like so. Generate one document from this. Well-defined string sounds great, thank you. The text will be \n join mega string list. No metadata. I wonder if this will work better. If not, I might have to remove the defined strings for now. To be strings document, and strings document like this. Just the theme says, I don't know if it matters, but that type of formatting could have injection issues. Yeah, it's true. I think I want the escaped string from data. I don't know what the so Ghidra has a built-in escaping thing. Could you use to have Python wrap it in quotes? I haven't seen that before. Oh, what did that just serve credit? What? DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Let's try this. Unless you want to explain it. Yeah, that's useful, thank you. Formatted string literals. Oh, see. Okay. Like this. We'll get string representation. A string value or get string. Let me try this really quickly, and then I'll try your suggestion there, Lurchbot. RM Labs, we're going to close Ghidra. I want to uninstall the extension first. We'll redo Gradle. We run Ghidra. I'm pretty excited about building this for Binary Ninja as well. I haven't done any UI stuff in Binary Ninja before, only analysis plugins. So that'll be very new to me. Not that my UI experience is that deep, to be honest, but I've definitely written more Ghidra user interfaces than Binary Ninja ones. If you can even call this user interface. Okay, it seemed to print something, which looked somewhat legitimate. Already out of the scroll back. Let's just see what it thinks of this. Then I'll try the get string data instance one. I think I want the string or the string representation. I think you're right. I think that's the one that appears in the strings view. I'm also looking at this in the wrong view. That's really annoying. I'm actually going to close this and reopen. I need to fix that tool, so I've got two tools to find. One with Python 3 and the other one's just completely broken, so... Stop. That did look wrong. That did look very wrong. And I think you're right, I need the value. That's probably why it was breaking before as well. So let's try. Just while that's calculating. We'll go get a string data instance, so I'll split sphere. Justin Steven says when you do R, you don't need to wrap in single quotes yourself. You assign wrapping either single or double quotes, and then also escapes internal quotes as needed. That was a useful one too, Lurchbot. Programming, so that's really useful. So I'll probably get the other data elements as well. But that program info I've never actually accessed before, so that would be really nice. Okay, let me go to the Ghidra section. I'll import the utility data instance. So in theory I can do import each string data instance. And I should figure it out. No, that's really annoying. String data instance from a string. It's like I did actually have this working before. Oh no, this is Python, sorry. No, I never had this working. It's really annoying. Okay. Let's do string data instance dot get string data instance on the data string dot get. Now, do we want the string representation or the string value? I think we want the string representation because that will be pre-escaped. Would also be nice to remove all of those mangled strings, but also they will be useful for... Yeah, okay. was a view8 at the beginning. I think I'll do the string value, then do the escaping. Yeah, it's UTF-8, but that might be useful for. Maybe I should embed the data type next to. I'm just thinking, because I want the fact that's UTF-8 to be available to the model, because then it can generate better Yara rings. But having the U8, it might understand that. I'm not sure. Let's try simple first. So we'll do get the string value. So just be string in this case. Maybe we should go back to the other thing where we just had a million entries, but let's see. This did finish relatively quickly. It generates a Yara for this program and explain your reasoning. This is awful. Cool. It will just look for the address. That's brilliant. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Yeah, like every time I touch this, it gets stupider. But maybe. Thank you, Let's Go. Invalid syntax. Oh. Pain. The pain. This literally pains me. You know, I have. Justin Stevens says, I need to run. Thanks, Kaida. Good luck. No worries, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. An excellent suggestion for generating Yara rings. Let's see. So we need to fix the import. You have a good afternoon. And hopefully I'll see you next stream. Let's see. Teacher assistant distribution, this thing. Okay. RM. I double clicked that. That was a mistake. Close. Oh, I need to do this thing. Did my change not take? Uninstall. Okay. It does. I already made that change though. Gradle. Kidra. It's probably I just moved too quickly and forgot a step. As I said, I need to fix this. But that's a problem for another day. Okay, close that, relaunch, and we'll redo the embedding. Definitely a problem for future Kaido days, for sure. That did seem to be printing something off. I need to, instead of that, where's the console? I have this console method somewhere. Here it is, right console. Still thinking a similar text. Does seem much faster with less documents to consider, even though those many documents were very small. Still thinking. Taking a little while. Still thinking. So, when this is done, I suspect I'll need to change this one more time. There we go. What does this program do? So we'll just test the base query again. What does this program do? Is it now overemphasizing the strings? Program is a function decompilation of the main function in a program. Okay. This part is a little off, but the rest of it seems better. Does this program have suspicious strings? Okay, this is better. It's now considering the strings. Function has suspicious strings. Strings include hide the shell, hide hidden, allow comments to root, allow drops null placeholders, allow numeric keys, allow single quotes, fail if extra, reject dupe keys, and it is not a number. So some of those I would say are probably legitimate, but some of those are pretty bad. Explain your reasoning. Yeah, in this case, it's very sensitive to the query. Okay. Generate me a YARN. Generate a YARN ruler to identify this program. Okay, that's better. WorkBot says I'm doing the wheezing laugh. It's true. It's very sensitive. Oh, thank you for the follow.
Subarashal just followed.
Thanks so much for the follow there, Subarashal. So this legitimate. This is bad. Maybe keep this file and explain your reasoning. Okay. Scroll matter. Any file that contains the strings sbin.if of local and libsc1 Linux SO. Because the function protect preload check file reads the contents of the file sbin.if local. Checks if it contains the string libs. Hey, that seems okay. That seems okay. Does it actually use ASCII? I'm suspicious. Now it tells us protect preload check file. This function. This apparently uses it. You know what? Okay, that's pretty good. And also, look this decompilation. That is interesting. Rename the variables in protect preload check file to be more descriptive. I've had trouble where if I just ask it to rename the variables, it just renames them to anything. But if you ask it to be descriptive, it's better. Okay, stream to FD. I wouldn't say that, but okay. SVAR1 to nread. Makes sense. Long LVAR to char count. That makes sense. Expected string if that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let's ask it about a security vulnerability again. Is there a security vulnerability in this program? Okay. Last time it told us yes, because it hides data in logs, which was wrong. But, okay. So security vulnerability, then protect, reload, check file. Now I don't think there is, because it has a defined size here. There is a potential security vulnerability in protect preload check file. The function does not check the source of the file it is reading from, which could allow an attacker to modify the contents of the file and potentially gain access to the system. That doesn't make much sense. I misspelled it? Yeah, it's pretty resistant to that because it's so, tuned. Oh, I did too. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's so tuned to this particular database that it seems to be... It seems to be, able to overcome those. That's pretty nice. I wouldn't really call that a vulnerability though. The function does not check the source of the file it's reading from. It could allow an attacker to modify the contents of the file and potentially gain access to the system. It's very generic. What else can we ask it here? What strings are most used in this program? This is probably something I can't answer. But let's try. Yeah. Okay. What does the communications protocol look like? So this malware talks via a JSON protocol. It does chunked encoding and things like that. Okay, that's interesting. The communication protocol looks like it involves sending a JSON object with a connection type field set to child and a child ID field set to child's ID. So the connection type, I don't know if that sets that and like that, but okay. The server then responds with a 4-byte secret, followed by a 1-byte method, and then a 1-byte offset. This is true. This is true. I don't know if it's actually 4 bytes, but let's take a quick look. So I wrote a WASP C2 server for this. So if you're interested in this, I did a few streams on writing a controller for this malware. So we do have the WASP secret, which is indeed 4 bytes. That's pretty good. It might be picking up on my comments though. The 1-byte offset. The 1-byte offset is into the simple cipher. The method is 0, then the client will use an empty cipher for communication. If the method is 1, then the client will use a simple cipher with the given offset. That's good. 7 then sends a JSON object with a URI field set to handshake. If the URI field is set to handshake, then the handshake is successful. That seems pretty good. That seems pretty good. That is the part of the binary I reverse engineered the most though, and would have most comments. But this can also be useful if you've come into a project and someone else has reverse engineered it and commented and such. Interesting. Let's try... write a poem about this binary. I'm just curious. A binary is so complex, it's hard to comprehend. It's full of functions and classes that make up its end. Its address is 00... What is that address? It's the right message. Okay. And its namespace is integer class. It's a function decompilation and it's not external. Alas. Alas, I guess. Class, alas. JSON built styled stream writer : write. Its name is quite a mouthful. Purpose is to write, and its code is quite beautiful. JSON fast writer write. Its name is quite a mouthful. You can't just repeat, that's terrible. Bicep complete. Yeah, that's okay. That's an okay poem. Right, and ode to the malware author of this program. If any of the WASP malware authors are in here, this is for you. I'm malware author, your code is so slow, you hide it so well, so that no one can tell. Your malicious intent is hard to prevent, but your code is so crafty. It's hard to be daftly. Your code is so clever, it's hard to sever, but your code is so strong, it's hard to go wrong. Your code is so tricky, it's hard to be picky, but your code is so smart, it's hard to depart. I'm malware author, your code is so sly, you hide it so well that no one can tell. No, it's okay. It's okay. I think I like its yarns more than its poetry. So, it must have to be okay. I do think adding the types was a mistake. So let's remove the type. let's add the thing that Letbot mentioned. Just go up, get the program info. So this will be itself, the program, that option, and this will be program dot program underscore info. We'll need to import that. Okay. Self to program. What's this? There we go. Okay, so this will be the program info, and we'll create a document from this. In the same way. Program, summary, documents, program, summary, I guess it's program summary, I don't know what else to call it. Add summary information by key architecture, thoughts, etc. So that will be useful for it to know about. And we probably should have the listing, the actual just assembly for each of the methods as well. So I wonder if we can get that easily. So we should be able to get the address range of each of the functions and then go through and spit out the listing view. Or it might be worthwhile actually just getting the listing view as a whole. I do wonder which will be more efficient for the network paths. Probably if I split it up, but it will have a lot more context if it has the entire listing view. That could be quite large though. So I could go through the UI and have a look at how it retrieves basically that entire listing. But let's start with the program info and see if that makes much of a difference. Actually, I don't want to do this because it's already open. That's something else I need to fix. Currently, the Gija script, the Python component, it just starts once and then sits in the background. I need to make that exit correctly so that you don't have the complaint there at the end. So we'll just rebuild the extension and we'll reinstall. We don't know with the correct browser. There we go. Our MDB object has no option. Did I do that wrong? We're going to get option. Oh, it's S. Thank you. Where did I put it here? Options. Of course. Thank you. I really need to get that autocomplete working properly. Having the linter would make such a big difference. Uninstall it. Okay. Gradle. RM. Just in case, we shouldn't have to, it didn't generate anything. Okay, open it with the correct code browser. So I have this problem because I have two sets of Pcode browsers defined, one with Python 3 and one without. Okay. Type. It's the type expected. Summary document. Documents. Hold on. What does this return? Get option. It probably returns an option object or something similar. Does. Don't want get string or something probably. Get string. Option name. Is that what I want? So self-program get options. This returns an option object. Does this not already know what type it is? ToString does a good job. Okay. Try that. I'll do it here to be consistent. I see. Thank you, Latchbot. Let's try. I'll run Gradle. Use our existing instance here to uninstall the extension. Okay. We run Nidra, install the extension, and then we're done. Oh, that looks better. Looks like it successfully got that information. We should be able to ask it about the name of the SHA-256, actually. It'd be interesting to see if it hallucinates the SHA-256. Just waiting for it to sync. while it's doing that, we should have a bit of a stretch. I really should have the Pomodoro timer on. Okay, still thinking. Yeah, I do think I might build the UI part off stream. So I think that's a little bit less interesting, seeing me try to wire things up between Python and Java. If that's interesting to you, I could stream that too. And it will be basically creating a docking action and then linking things up. I think the best way to do it here will be to have the docking action set a flag, and then every time you import a query, I guess, into the system, I'll have it check that flag. It's unfortunate, but because of the limitations of JEP, which is what GJFun uses, I can't call into Python from another thread in Java. It's a little unfortunate. I'm really kind of stuck with Poly. What does this program do? Let's try the base query again. Okay, that's objectively worse. Codem checks the presence of the file. It's present, checks for central issues. If the issues are found, it will rewrite the file. So it's technically true. I think the original output was better. Let's ask it. Right. Tell me what is the SHA-256 hash of this program? I've safely ingested that program information. Cannot be determined. It should be able to, since it should be in the about section for this file. What architecture is this file? Unfortunate. Okay. Do the comms of this program look like? Okay, I think it's a little worse. It does seem like the more we tell it, the worse it seems to get. Maybe I'm making too many assumptions about how it works internally. It's asking about the strings. Writing ring to match this program. Okay, interesting. Did I get a copy of the options? I really should write this out to him now. I think it's missing. So that's interesting that I put the author in there. Because it says it's going to match this. What is this? Let's try this one, and then I'll copy and paste that into CyberChef. Match the address of the program. You know, that's a terrible yarn. You did better the first time. Think. Having all of this in there makes it very sad. Seems to make the output significant worse. I think with this part, you see, I don't want to output all of the functions I'm decompiling anymore. But I will output via the monitor the program summary. We'll just output that as a string directly to the console, and we'll turn off the other part, just spamming the log. Okay. Build that. While that's compiling, we'll uninstall the current extension. Restart Ghidra. Clear the current embeddings, and we'll install the updated extension. Restart Ghidra. Oh no. Don't open in this tool. I do think outputting the exact text I'm feeding it would be very useful, so I might output that to the context directory. Let's see, so I'll just open Ghidra Assistant here. It's still printing all of that, that's annoying. Let's do that really quickly. So we create this index directory here. Where is it? Yeah. Index, HL256. I probably should insert that. Actually, it's not to do with the LLM, so it's the document directory, storage directory. Let's try this. So we'll just put in the document directory for now. I'm going to rework the way that the directory layout. Okay, right at the bottom here. To be the documents directory. Guess that could work. Document text. This should work. I might need to do an enumerate here. I don't trust what the document name is, so we'll just write them out there. See, actually I can do this path document directory text.text path dot write text document text. Easy. And what does this? What does this program do? We'll ask it. This program checks for the presence of a file. It's still not amazing. Let's close that. I'll install the extension and replace it with a new one. Okay. Gradle. Remove that. Run Kedra. Install the updated extension. And we should get a copy of the documents we're feeding it as well, which will help with debugging. Distribution. Okay. Okay, this seems to work. I put it in a stupid directory. Config, Kedra system, here. Well, that will be why it has no program information. It's really tripped up by this, actually. Unknown calling convention, perimeter storage is locked. I think I'm just going to strip that out. What did we expect? Oh, you went hold on. rip out the following presentation warning scares the model becomes very concerned about security when it sees this. Ask a generic question really quickly. Still, I think the program information is still tripping it up. Let me try removing the program information altogether. I think the fact that it just has a program summary, maybe a name also. We're back to just the decompilation here. Yeah. I think having the words program summary there and then such a small amount of information is maybe biasing the model. It's just uninstall the extension. I might go and get those facts directly and then put them in. Okay, let's run Gradle. Remove the data and Gator again. We'll install it. Okay, let's try it. Okay, we're indexing. The indexing is finished. So we should be able to check. First thing is got to be this. Okay, this is seeming a bit better. I think we should do a strip on these. We can also potentially add some comments to these as well. Maybe that would work better. Just wait for this to calculate. We'll see what it thinks. So we still have the namespace and the is external here. I think getting the listing would be good. It can also be the order. The order can matter. Let's try. Yeah, the text of the listing view from Ghidra and create a document from that. To do, should we do one document or many? And that will be interesting to see how it affects it. Still thinking. Still thinking. Okay, there we go. Alright. What does this program do? This seems better. I wonder if there's some way I need to separate out the embeddings. Like maybe I do one embedding for this and then another embedding for the strings. I don't think that'll make a difference because they should just be overlaid. Not sure. Not sure. Okay. Generate a YARN to identify this program. Explain your reasoning. Okay, this is bad. It's also worse. The same file is better. It also thinks its name is Ghidra class, which is kind of funny. I do like that it includes a description. My reasoning in a comment. Explain your reasoning and comments. Generate a YARN to match this file. This is probably wrong. It is interesting how changing the order alters these things. Now let's talk about comments again. Name this sample. This is a malware. Generates a fun name for this malware family. Crypto Creeper. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. I write a blog about this file. This blog post will discuss two functions, rewrite and upload with part of Ghidra class namespace. Redirect preload relight function takes 3 parameters. It's a terrible blog. Well, here's thing up in Ghidra class namespace. This is wrong. This is because there's some metadata in the Ghidra in the namespace object when we call toString on it. So that's okay. Let's try. What does this program do? Versus what does this file do? royalty. You think that's my time up? Interesting. Is running this program a security concern? It's a bit of a leading question. That's pretty good. What indicators actually generates a list of indicators of compromise for this file? This is terrible. This program. Describe this program in terms of the MITRE attack framework. Just something you often see in blog posts. So, this is a terrible representation. Also, visualizing sub-tactic on MITRE attack framework. I think that's fake. Our LitchBot says, getting the program option values is my lame Python code snippet. Get value as string. I thought we might need to do the get value as string. I need to do the option name again. Delay that first line. Bad paste, okay. Get value as string option name. For each option name, I see. So you do need to go through and actually enumerate the entire thing. That's kind of annoying. But I will put that down in here. Yeah. So we get options. And for the specific one, we get the actual option name. That makes sense to me. Okay. I think we're in an interesting kind of space. We have... Yeah, we need to experiment a little bit more with the other metadata, I think. I think getting the listing view is going to be key. Because at the moment it's really good. As soon as you add in the extra detail, it gets bogged in the weeds, I guess. Which is common to everyone who's analyzing malware. I must retry the prompt from before as well. As a malware analyst, generates a Yara rule for this file. Okay. and explain your reasoning. So that's a lot better. And this is a PR rule that I would probably write for this sample, honestly. I'd probably throw in a is executable or something like that down the bottom, but not too bad, not too bad. My chat is broken. What's going on? Just refresh that really quickly. Properties. Oh, it's annoying the chat's been broken that long, sorry. But, okay. I think I'm about at the point where I need to go get some food, honestly. I skipped lunch today, which was a mistake. And it's about 3 o'clock already, so about time for me to eat. But I really appreciate everybody who contributed today. I really appreciate that, especially... Hope a little sound alert coming in. It's true. NASA confirms. With an RTFM as well. I will be reading the manual tonight. I'm going to be doing a few things. I think I'm going to actually try ingesting the...
Hello there.
I'm going to try ingesting the Ghidra manual into this, actually. And maybe the Ghidra API. And maybe you can give API help itself as well. That would be really cool. I'm going to try ingesting maybe a textbook. Maybe I can get the Ghidra book ingested into this as well. I won't distribute that, obviously, but I'll provide instructions on how to ingest that from the EPUB you can buy from Nostalgia Press. And we'll see what happens when it knows a little bit more about reverse engineering in particular. Maybe we can get it to make suggestions and things like that too. But I do think I need to fix the UI so that we can at least do a refresh of the embeddings without a complete rebuild. That's really annoying right now. And we need to figure out how we can include these smaller pieces of information that are still relevant without overwhelming its decision making. So it seems as soon as we include anything like prolific and small, like all of the strings, or anything that sounds definite and is empty, like this program summary, it definitely gets very confused. Definitely gets very confused. It does do better with extra context around the decompilation. I think the decompilation is closest to things I've seen before on GitHub, perhaps. So maybe adding the listing view will be good, because I should have seen many blogs containing disassembly. And maybe some sort of link between the two. Maybe I can have like a listing in here or something to make it especially cognizant of that. But I think overall it's doing okay. It's doing okay. These things are always interesting to develop, I guess. Little things seem to tip it in different directions, and it can be quite difficult to figure out exactly what it is that's pushing in a particular direction. But I think it's going to be a useful plugin. I hope that... Let me snooze this 1 second. I hope that when I release it, people actually enjoy it and use it. I think that they will. I think it provides a lot of value, especially for summarizing a program. And that generate YARA seems to be okay. Except when it's overwhelmed with extra information. So we'll have a few different functions. We'll have the refresh. We'll have a magic wand that can rename variables, because it's very good at that. And I think we'll have a questionnaire that it fills in. So we'll develop a few useful prompts like this, like develop a YARA, give me a summary, these sort of things. Like, does the program do? Does the program contain any security vulnerabilities? Maybe not that one, but we can ask specific things, and we can ask it to comment every single function. For example, maybe write a comment for a particular function. Let's go get one. Trigger task. Write a comment for the trigger task function. That should do well at that. This function attempts to connect to the master server, then the secondary server, etc. That's pretty good. And I think this will significantly speed up reverse engineering of the sample. So, with that, I thank you all for hanging out with me today. I hope this was fun. I certainly had a lot of fun. I'm going to pick someone to raid now. And I hope to see you in another stream. Let's see who is online right now. Back to Twitch. At least one's online. We can jump in with her. She's always lovely. Let's do that. Or we can try and find someone who's in the software and development category as well. Let's see. Someone who's coding. Let's look for someone in the software category. Yeah, I think we'll go over to at least one. She's lovely. So let me start the raid. Yep, please join me in raiding Elise. She's lovely. Be kind. And I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you. Bye.